Hey there, welcome to another episode of the Coffee Solo audio program for this Saturday, July 26, 2025. It's about 12:30 in the morning, Pacific time, making this episode 2025-07-2601. Today's topic I have prepared because it has been a week. You can take that to mean anything you like. A fugue week, in fact. A fugue week. I wrote a summary and I have an outline, so this is not completely off the cuff, but you never know. After that sick episode on Saturday, I have spent the entire week producing my normal shows and trying to work out around sleeping. With the post-sick congestion and coughing and whatnot, I seem to have made it. What did I miss? Oh, but of course I've kind of kept up on the news. I mean, I wasn't passed out all week. It just was difficult to catch normal sleep and to even producing audio. My sinuses have been going nuts, and you get the idea. Don't forget did I talk about this? I think this happened anyway, there's another place to find this audio program. Don't forget. So the links for today's episode are listed. My other coffee platform, which I'm not as fond of after the debacle, buymeacoffee.com/Dan Hugo, and then the Buy Me an Update audio program I post there. buymeacoffee.com/Dan Hugo/posts. So very similar to the coffee.com platform URLs. But do note that I now have Spotify channels for both Coffee Solo and Buy Me an Update. And so there are links to those in the link section. This means RSS feeds. It means once I set up all the other direct sort of partner feed sources that I can subscribe through Spotify, there will be more places to find the programming. I only use Spotify because it actually seems to work most of the time, and it's sort of, everybody gets it. They know what it is. But I would like to have more of the feeds available to find my various programs. So having all of my other programs on Spotify made this a convenient addition and less frustrating. I'm not annoyed. I mean, I guess it's up to them. They're not podcast platforms, but if you're going to enable people to publish posts, then why not have an RSS feed for them so that they can, but of course, both Buy Me a Coffee and Ko-fi want to have people visit their sites. So I totally understand that, but it doesn't totally fit into what I'm trying to accomplish. So they're not going away. I've had Coffee Solo and Buy Me a Coffee accounts and profiles and pages and all that stuff for years. So I have no reason to bail, but I also, they don't really work great for publishing media, audio media especially. So there it is. So Spotify for creators, profile pages available in the links section, so you can consume on Spotify for the moment, and then I gotta get my whole publishing game on track and make sure the RSS feeds, no matter where they are featuring my channels. In other words, you should be able to find my audio programming regardless of whether you use iTunes or Spotify or iHeartRadio, whatever, Amazon. The mantra is wherever you find your podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. And that's how it should be. And I do have a link to the Nasal Fresh MD as usual. It's an affiliate link. I have not actually used it all week. No, I did use it on, no, that's a lie. I used it on either Sunday or Monday because I figured, okay, I can, let me get rid of some of that congestion, but it has just been returning as fast as I can possibly even blow my nose. It's been it's been a joy. I did break down. I've been trying to kind of get off this stuff because the Nasal Fresh really has made a big difference. I cannot plug that enough. But I mean, if I'm sick, I'm sick, and that's the way it is, or getting over it, So I did pick up some extended release sufedrine, which is the generic pseudoephedrine. And that also throws off my sleep schedule. But it does, in my case, for my needs, it does work. It's not the other no ID required version of Sudafed, which has been deemed useless by the FDA and others, I guess. But this, I can say with certainty that it does make a difference. So I picked some of that up, and it's alarming. I mean, I guess I see why people would crush it up and use it for whatever else they're going to use it for. But like for $5, you get to breathe all week. That's a pretty reasonable deal. So yeah, the sick came on quickly. I talked about this I guess I recorded it in the evening, right? So in the most recent episode before this, the previous episode of the Coffee Solo program, I thought I was all better. By Monday morning, I'm like, all right, I'm back. Everything's fine. But it did linger with the after party. Nonstop congestion, productive coughing, which is always fun. Luckily, that kind of gave way pretty quickly. Some remaining aches, but those also went away. So by, say, Wednesday morning, you name it, all the NyQuil symptoms, but they have trailed off. And so I feel almost back to normal on this Saturday morning at 12:30 in the morning. I had called in a noise complaint probably right around now, 7 days ago on Saturday, as I was becoming sick. I had a sore throat. I wasn't feeling well. I tried to kind of, for once, close my eyes before 4 in the morning. And so it was about 12:30, and the guitar playing began. And I think it was about 12:45. I called security. Well, since then, my upstairs Raymond, my I don't even know what to call him, angst-ridden teen, Raymond has been noisy, but not after hours. So right now, for example, fairly quiet, which is a new adventure. Maybe it's progress. I don't know. I won't hold my breath just yet. So some of the news that's going on, I guess, Trump is getting desperate now with, I just have a couple of things here. A treason allegation against Obama for the 2016 election. But he doesn't want to keep talking about Epstein because there's so many other important things to talk about, which is funny. Even though none of this is funny, but it's laughable. How about that? He's going to force Coke to use cane sugar, which is bizarre, I guess. I mean, it screws up the whole corn farming situation, from what I understand. And I saw this really excellent YouTube video where someone explores the breakdown of cane sugar, which is sucrose, and breaks down into fructose and glucose. Or you could just start with high fructose corn syrup and it stays as fructose and glucose. So using the cane sugar is going to mess with the farmers and maybe the flavor, although that's debatable. So that might just be, I know this is crazy, I think it's just a hand wave. And then Washington needs to rename their team back to the Redskins, and Cleveland needs to go back to the Indians. So no more of this crazy, trying to be reasonable to indigenous peoples. Screw that noise, right? So things are going well. I feel like I missed a lot more, but I only paid attention a little bit between, I'm not going to say visits to the restroom, but basically blowing my nose and a little bit of coughing here and there. I got a sort of entry-level yerba mate gourd and bomba via my Amazon Vine adventures. So that arrived on Monday. And again, I'm like, oh, okay, so I'm over the sick thing. Let me try, I can have some hot yerba mate, and maybe that'll make my throat feel a little bit better. I had not had yerba mate since probably, let me think, 2008, maybe, something like that. I was at a friend's house in East Bay, in the Bay Area, and someone had a bomba with the gourd and everything. So the metal straw, I had never had it before, and I was like, what is going, and the straw is very hot. Oh, what is this? So, tradition, whatnot. So I got the kit, Like I said, it's kind of entry level. It doesn't feel high quality, but it works. It's fine. And I got some yerba mate tea, obviously leaves, right? So a big giant, probably like a 2-pound brick of yerba mate. And I have to say, it is not great. I'm fairly certain I need to tune my technique. I watched a couple of YouTube videos, and the gourd, which is basically the thing you're pouring the water into with the tea leaves, it seems huge. Like, I don't want that much yerba mate, and it's probably like, I don't know, it's like 12 ounces maybe. It's kind of shaped like an egg, obviously with a flat, the top cut off, so it's open. But it's a challenge to drink, even the amount of yerba mate I put in there. I haven't been able to get the angle and the dry part. They call it the mountain. Somebody called it that in one of the YouTube videos. The mountain. Don't get the mountain wet. Okay, so I do keep the straw side of the sector of the cross section of the gourd. I pour the hot water in there. I pour more water in there. I've noticed that if it's hot, it's more difficult to taste just how bitter and awful it is. So I put some hot water, and then I add some more hot water later. I do add water that's at about 80 degrees Celsius, maybe 78, based on the thermometer on my pitcher. And yeah, it's not. I don't really know. I don't know how to say. I mean, I do know it's awful, but I'm not sure if I can say that it's like, it has potential. Like, anyone who's ever, the first time you drink gin or peated whiskey, scotch especially, or maybe the first time you drink coffee, and if you drink really bad coffee, you're like, ugh, bitter. Ugh. But this is like, I followed the directions, and it's really, I don't know, you can't really mess it up too bad, can you? I mean, pour water into tea leaves, drink. Between that and burning salads, I don't know what's going on. But I did, this morning, I literally had a stomach ache. Like, it was just making me feel bad. Like, this is not making me feel good. I don't know how people would drink this every morning, right? To get up and go, whatever. So I did squirt in a shot of hazelnut Torani syrup, which feels like sacrilege, I guess. So ultimately, I will give up on tuning and just go with sugar-free flavor additives, and that'll make my yerba mate experience a little bit better. I did make some each morning. I had it Monday through today. So yesterday, Friday morning. So every morning I was giving it a good try, and I was like, no, this is still not good. It's just not a great way to start the day, in my opinion. Maybe if it's like a late night, I got to stay up late, I want to stay alert, or hey, before I go to the gym, when I get back to my usual. I like to go after midnight because the gym is pretty quiet. It's 24-hour. So maybe I got to figure this out, but yikes. But, caffeine, so got to do what you got to do. I still find that I really enjoy the coffee that I make. I've spent years now, since the pandemic, everybody became a home whatever. So barista maybe was one of the things. And I've really, and I don't really, spend tremendous amounts of time dialing in and whatnot. I have a scale. I have a nice gooseneck pitcher. I actually got another one from Amazon Vine, so I've been using that one. And I just got a new scale with a timer through Vine. So I've essentially got more coffee kit to play with. And I think, if you just pay attention, I've written some things down. I have some recipes that I follow. My AeroPress is my friend. So yeah, I make some really good coffee for me. I mean, as the saying goes, if you like it, keep doing it. If you watch like Lance Hendrickson or James Hoffman or the various other coffee luminaries online, they always say the same thing. Oh, when it comes to dialing in the coffee and whatnot, if it tastes good for you, great. You don't have to worry about it. Stop. If you like what you're making, just keep doing it. Don't feel like you need to do what other people tell you. But yeah, I mean, I've dialed in my coffee settings for myself, and I really like making the coffee in the morning. I think that's rare. So the yerba mate has been a deviation, and I really think also having a ritual, having something you do every day, kind of sets the metronome for the day. Maybe I've read that that's true, and it kind of is. One act doesn't do it. There's a few things that people can do to kind of align their morning or whenever for a reasonable day. So I count making a nice cappuccino style. I can't even call it a cappuccino. I think it's not officially that, but whatever I'm making with a nice either heavy cream or half and half, depending on the mood. I really like half and half now. I used to think, but I really like half and half, or I'll put half and half, and half heavy cream, so it's really more like, 2/3, 1/3, and instead of half and half. But I mean, if you go half and half, you get a little bit more of a whipped up kind of thing. But anyway, I don't know if I've mentioned this here. I put the Torani syrup and some very coarse, what is it called? Dry lake bed or dry sea, not sea. Well, anyway, salt. And so I put a shake or two into a frother. It's not steam. I'm actually, first of all, I don't have a steam wand. I thought about getting one at some point. I don't have an espresso machine with a boiler. I have a manual press espresso machine, which I think is more fun. So I have a Dreo, I can't remember what it's called, the Barista Super or whatever. So it has two different little propeller thing, or impellers, I guess. And it does microfoam with the propeller on it, or it does the little whisk. Either way, it does some really good stuff. So if I make some nice AeroPress, I'll do 150 milliliters in of water to 35 grams of coffee, ground coffee. Well, it starts out not ground. So 35 grams and 150 milliliters of water in. I press that through. I haven't measured what comes out, so I don't know how much out. I measured it a long time ago, but I don't remember what it is. So whatever it is coming out, and then if I boil, it doesn't really boil. For dark coffee, I'll go with like 86 degrees Celsius, and then so I make the AeroPress, let it sit for like 20, 30 seconds, and I know some recipes say a minute, but I have a slightly finer grind, so that works out. And then I shoot it into the mug with some MCT oil, which is really getting to be like, it's a part of the thing. And I'll tell you why. So then I put the remaining water. So usually there's about 20 milliliters left, because some of, it boils off, whatever's left. I pour that into the mug with the MCT oil. I put a little potassium salt in there. What? Salt in coffee? Yeah, it's a thing you can read about it. Plus, potassium is good for your blood pressure. So that's good. And then it reduces the tension of your blood vessels. So provable. So why not? So I put a little potassium. Oh, we're talking like a shake or two. And then some ginkgo biloba into the MCT oil. So adding the water helps all that dissolve a little bit, and water-soluble stuff. And then I press in the coffee from the AeroPress, and then I pour in hopefully it's usually just about finished whisking by then. So I pour in the half and half, or the heavy cream, or the mixture thereof. And then I have a little shaker, kind of a hemisphere shaker. It's pretty cool. I got it from Amazon Vine, of course, with some cacao powder. Put that on the top, and it's fabulous. Now, here's the thing. With this Dreo thing, if I make a hot cappuccino, frothed, whatever, so I put in the half and half and the heavy cream, so about 50-50. I flip it on. It goes for like 3 minutes and 20 seconds. When it comes out, it is not frothed so much. It's not. There's no whip. There's not whipped. It doesn't look whipped. So there's no foam to put on top. But when I pour it into the coffee with the MCT oil, it essentially lifts the oil up to the top of the coffee. So now there's like a swirly mixture of MCT oil, which is now brown with coffee, and some of the dairy, right? So it's probably more half and half floating. And then when I put the cacao powder on there, take a sip, and it just tastes like something very unusual. It's really good. So I don't know how I've come up with this and why it does this. I've not really investigated. I mean, I understand the densities of liquids and stuff, but I'm like, this is really weird. Why is the hot cappuccino setting on this frother doing this? So I got some nice shamrock half and half today. So I'm going to just try making straight half and half hot cappuccino and see what I think it'll end up being more foamy. But either way, I really enjoy my coffee in the morning. So this yerba mate has been really kind of messing me up. And like I said, it kind of made my stomach hurt, which I think is, I don't know what that came from. We'll have to see. It's just unusual. Maybe because I have set such a morning ritual thing going. The yerba mate was just so far out there. So I don't know. We'll see. It doesn't last long, like maybe 20 minutes. And then it kind of relax and let it go. But speaking of letting it go, my ankle is continuing to recover, which is nice. No more cane, not the sugar, but the metal object with the rubber tip that helped me walk for a couple of weeks. I need to walk through the pain of stiffness and lack of use to gain back some flexibility. So it feels like a sore muscle now more than just an injured muscle. So there's no sharp pains. I'm actually able to rotate on my right ankle, right? So if I need to step out of the way of something, or if I need to make a move out of the way of something, if there's a sudden need to no problem. So I'm labeling this a successful recovery so far, but it's just it's fighting me a little bit when I'm walking a longer gait. So walking around my apartment, fine, because I'm not walking hundreds of feet. But I went to the grocery store on Friday. What time was it? 6 o'clock in the evening. So that means, during the day I'm moving around, but not a ton, but I'm moving around in a residential context. So as soon as I step outside and I start walking to the grocery store, which is literally across the street, so it's not a major trek, but so I'm taking longer steps. I'm taking a lot more steps. I'm walking a little bit faster. When I'm crossing the street, I'm trying to do that. Because if I'm not carrying a cane, now I'm just, what are you doing? You're taking your time. But you carry a cane, and people actually, they don't act like jerks, which is nice. But so the longer gait, the faster pace, and so on, it kind of pushes back a little bit. So I just gotta keep doing that. So I'm really, really looking forward to getting back to my usual walking schedule. I used to walk 3 miles every day, just to get out of the house, right? Just to get a little vitamin D going, and to unless I was walking at night, but and then just to move around. It's always nice if you're into the programming, computer programming lifestyle. It's very sedentary, so to kind of put things down, listen to an audiobook while I'm doing my 3 mile walk, and then the gym is another 1 mile in each direction, so 2 more miles of walking there, and then actual time at the gym. So all of these things have been factored out of my daily schedule for the last 2 months, which has been remarkably frustrating, and I do not care for it. So I'm looking forward to getting all that back reassembled. So ankle, getting back to as close to 100% as possible in the near term. I think it's pretty good. I don't think I did any permanent harm to it so far. Well, we'll see. But yeah, I gotta get back to the full ritual through the day. Speaking of a ritual, I'm still looking for board members for my nonprofit here in Vegas. It's been about a month. I started looking right about a week before the end of June, which is too late. I did I think it was about a month ago when it was the 28th or 26th. I did an episode of this very audio program about plans coming together. I needed to get the 2 board members that were on my board of directors up until the end of last fiscal year. I needed to have them depart, and because they were simply not doing anything and causing trouble. So they did, but I should have done that in March, and I should have proactively sought more board members. But it was just so frustrating to deal with them. I was so profoundly disappointed. It had a negative impact on my effort and so on. So that's unfortunate. But, you just got to refile your annual, you got to refile your governance list. So our annual filing took place right on schedule on June 30th, $50, not too bad. So I'll just have to do that again when we have actual board members seated. It's not cool to have a 501c3 with one board member. The IRS really likes to have a 3 or more situation. But I'm not soliciting for money, and we don't really have any funds coming in at this moment. So once we get everything all sorted, we can have a board meeting. We'll talk about strategies for donation driving, and it's our 4th fiscal year, which means we can accept larger donations, and I'm hoping that will work nicely with our we're going to deploy some things as donation drivers, and hopefully they will work out, and we will draw in some funds and gain some support and interest and so on. So yeah, it would be nice to have a couple of extra board members to keep us in the good graces of the IRS, because right now is not the good time to piss anybody off. And it's always nice to have other people who are interested and qualified, which I did not have up until the end of May. Sorry, the end of June. So, oh no, I'm sorry. It was 2 months ago. It was the end of May that this all happened. Yeah. Okay, now it's coming back to me. Yeah, what a pain. So I spent all of June. I didn't have a couple of days, but I had a month, and now it's been 2 months. And I really need to find, just so I can get that off my plate, some other board members. So what I did find, though, I think I emailed about 15 people that I know in the Vegas area. And I said, hey, I know you're busy, but would you happen to know anyone, right? So I wasn't even asking anyone I'm not trying to guilt anybody into anything, but hey, if you happen to know anybody who has an interest in nonprofit governance or community elevation, civic volunteerism, all the words, I said, if you could send them my way, that'd be great. I really appreciate it. And I didn't even get, hey, I don't know anyone off the top of my head, but I'll look around, or I'll keep an eye out, or I'll pass this along, whatever. I didn't get any cordial brush off from 14 of the people, or 13, I think. Oh, no. Well, if it's only, so there were 15 people in Vegas. There were people not in Vegas. 3 people responded who are not in Vegas. But the people in Vegas, universally disappointing. And I think that says it all. So, yeah, we'll see. Vegas, there's a whole bunch of stuff that I think will be interesting to dive into a little bit. I have the nonprofit here that's making an attempt to elevate communities through civic volunteer efforts, not necessarily code. Everybody thinks, oh, so civic tech. Civic tech is a piece of civic volunteerism. It's, taking part in elevating your community, whether it's software development or making a new thing, a hardware thing, or mechanical or electrical or creative work, language translations. The list goes on and on and on. It could be anything. So people simplify it down to, so you like writing an app, which is annoying, but that's the way it is. So there's that I'm working on, but then sort of orthogonal to that is the Cafe Genius project, which is oriented completely towards the entrepreneurial innovation ecosystem of the greater Vegas area. And there are a great many things. I wrote I think it's a 15-page document that I called Vegas Lacks. And it was just a list of things that Vegas needs to work on to make for the possibility of a healthier entrepreneurial innovation ecosystem. There are people who believe that you can build an ecosystem because they are misusing the term. An ecosystem is used to describe environments in which economies operate, because an ecosystem has a very strong analog to a biological ecosystem, which is studied by ecologists, right? The ecology of nature. And so you look at the flora and the fauna and the resources and There are different types of ecosystems, rainforest and a desert. Those are two completely different things. So if you're in the desert, like say you're in Vegas and you say, we're going to build an ecosystem, well, you're not going to change it into something that isn't the desert. Like Vegas has air conditioning and running water and electricity now, but it's still the desert, right? So you've adapted parts of it so that you can survive in it, but you didn't, you didn't say, hey, let's change Vegas into a rainforest. That's not happening. But the thing that people don't acknowledge is that even if you're going to say you're building an ecosystem, what you're doing is adapting some of the available resources and physicalities and so on to meet the needs of what you hope will be the climax community. But you're not going to say, hey, let's convert Vegas into a rainforest and we'll do startups in a rainforest. So let's convert Vegas desert into livable Vegas desert. Okay, so we had casinos and so on 100 years ago. They started with all this stuff. And then, they didn't have like the Stardust 100 years ago, but you know what I'm saying. So over the last 100 years, putting in the infrastructure, whether it's train tracks, water, plumbing, drainage system, water recovery from Lake Mead and runoff from the mountains. So all that stuff has taken a long time to establish so that you can at least function. Thanks to the Carnot cycle, we can all, especially the casinos, you can chill in a casino literally. So thanks. Actually, I don't know if they use heat pumps. They probably use just plain old chillers, which are based on heat pumps. But anyway, we haven't converted anything. So we haven't built an ecosystem. We've built adaptations. So when I hear people saying, "Oh yeah, we're going to be the next Silicon Valley," you're going to try to convert the entrepreneurial innovation ecosystem as it is now so that it leans much more into a tech innovation and investment heavy gentrification machine. And you're going to price everyone who lives here out. So I think they really haven't thought that through. I think everybody reads, oh, we're going to be the next Silicon Valley. And they think, oh, yeah, of course. You just have to make access to capital easier. And then people will just move here with no thinking through of the impact on cost of living and so on. And you can read about the history of Austin if you want a recent example of what should have been a success story, except that they really kind of screwed over the culture and the people who were there who established that culture. So I don't think it ends up going quite as well. So that's what Cafe Genius is looking at. And then, there's a whole bunch of stuff. The episode of Cafe Genius I did on Friday, the data chaos situation is an example of how people don't exactly want to talk about what's happening in the Vegas area. So how do you get good data about startups and impact of startups and other projects on small business and people? So it's a maelstrom of chaos. No, you can't do that. It's a maelstrom of hype. There you go. So hence data chaos. That works. That works out better. And I think it's going to be a big undertaking, but that's really where I think this will be really. Can I say really a few more times? Interesting. And so the stuff we're working on at Innovate for Vegas Foundation, which would be applicable in any locality, to me seems very interesting from the point of view that you can, once you have a platform that does modern things, right, that isn't a bolt-on to some PHP code that everybody knows how to hack and break into and screw with, WordPress. But if you build a system of modernity and then you account for things like activity streams and ActivityPub, but also email and news groups, right? Or who knows, right? You keep it flexible and keep it scalable and keep it modular and so on. Don't commit to one tech stack. It's a learning machine also, right? So people that are volunteering will tend to be younger, more entry level. They may not be coders, right? So some of the things I'm talking about are the language translations and the illustrations of things and telling the story, right? So there's a lot of stuff that people could do. And then there's a whole business model to convert volunteer time into revenue so that they make something back, ROI. So yeah, all this stuff. So a lot of ideas floating around, and I don't want to be sick to distract me from them. So that's that. So I think that's where I'm going to leave today's episode, a little over a half hour. I don't want to go too long as it takes and no longer. There you go. All right. I'm gonna let it go here. I need to get YouTube channels up, and then I need to start thinking about the Hugo floss. What do I want to do with this? And the more I'm thinking about it, the more I think that there should be like a live stream channel, so video, and then we can do some talking about headlines, or there can be just topical pictures, like, oh, here's this from today, or here's this from 25 years ago, or did you see this video? All the stuff that you see on live streams today, but with my own unique brand of insight and humor. And then at some point, I would like to have guests on. So that would be like using StreamYard or something like this, or Riverside. I have a Hugo Floss channel on Spotify, so that can happen there. I did set up a YouTube channel, so the various pieces are in place now. I have to do some plumbing, and I need to do more. Okay, so that's an idea that I'll leave dangling for the moment. We'll catch you later. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.